back to my channel. This week I am bringing you another Cook with G. But before we get started, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. Now today we are cooking from That Sounds So Good by Carla Lalli Music. Now this is not our first Cook with G from a cookbook by Carla Lalli Music. However, the last one was her first cookbook and this is her second. I recently got this as a gift. Thank you so much for who gave this to me. You know who you are. And I was very excited because if you watched that last video, I'll have it linked above and down below. I absolutely loved all of those recipes. She's an amazing cook and has just a very great approach to her cookbooks, which is the way that she writes them. I think I mentioned this last time. In there, she has options for what she calls spin it, which is, you know, if you don't have one of the ingredients, there are a bunch of other suggestions for, you know, things to spin the recipe and maybe still be able to make it. Which when I was reading her foreword or like the beginning part of her cookbook, I felt like the big thing that she was really trying to drive home with that was that the point is that you're cooking and that you're making things and not to feel limited in your kitchen and to understand that, you know, pecorino can be replaced by Parmesan, but one of them is going to be a little saltier than the other, like things like that I just felt were, you know, maybe not organic thoughts for a lot of home cooks. So as you can tell, I'm excited. I have a couple recipes in store today, so let's cook. Pasta with cacio e walnut. Recipe number one. Yeah, I love cacio e pepe, so I thought that this was a really cool, different recipe. It also uses this very fun pasta shape, which I also recently got as a gift. Yeah, this one is awesome. It is, I don't know if it's the exact same, I don't know if it's the exact same shape, because I think she calls this one panceri or other large tubular pasta. This one is called calamari because it looks like cut up calamari. So I feel like it looks similar enough, but yeah, we got some walnuts, we got some cheese. Very excited. So we're just gonna bring our Dutch oven to a boil, which is gonna take a while, but we're also gonna add a bunch of salt. One thing I need to like look up again is when to salt the water. Does it matter? Does anybody know? She says to bring it to a boil and salt the water. So like, do I bring it to a boil and then salt it? I don't know, I just put the salt in now. All I know is that it needs to be as salty as the sea. And I'm curious if it matters or not. I feel like it doesn't. But after that's boiled is when we'll put our pasta in. Now we're gonna add 1/3 a cup of olive oil. And she says to add 6 cloves of garlic. And we're just putting them in whole because we're going to actually smash them with our wooden spoon to like break them, which I'm like, is this gonna work? Maybe they need to cook a little, like once they're like a little softer. Yeah, I'm gonna let them cook a little. I had a feeling that was gonna be hard. I almost used my garlic press, but then I was feeling like I was cheating because she says to smash with a wooden spoon. That doesn't feel like it should be that hard. This is not going well. Okay, there we go. I got some smashing. I feel like this is like user error. This shouldn't be difficult. I'm gonna call defeat on my ability to smash garlic. And I'm gonna use my kitchen scissors to just break it up a little bit. It's a skill I'm gonna have to practice. Maybe once it's a little, oh, it's got a nice crisp on that garlic. I don't know if that's right, but it looks good. It's something I'm gonna have to practice in the future, but it's at least broken up a little. I think it's just to like release the flavor anyways. I think that is pretty good to me. So we can actually start on the next step, which is just adding in our walnuts and a bunch of pepper. It says to season aggressively with pepper. These are just walnut pieces. It said walnuts for like baking is, I guess, what's intended because it's already broken up. She says to chop your whole walnuts. So this was my hack, to just buy them already broken into bite-sized pieces. So in go the walnuts and an aggressive amount of pepper. I don't know what that is to her, but for me, it's just so I see it everywhere. Okay, so our walnuts have been cooking for a while with our garlic and oil and pepper, and they are starting to get fragrant and brown. So we're actually gonna turn off our heat and add in a little bit of salt. And then we're just gonna let that sit because it's time to boil the pasta. Okay, our pasta is done cooking. So we're gonna actually take 2 cups of our pasta liquid because that is going to help us get our sauce to come together. We got our colander. I don't know why, but a bunch of the pasta stuck to the bottom. I've literally never had this happen before. And Dutch ovens are like innately like non-stick, but we're going to put the rest of the pasta back in, continue as if that never happened. We're going to turn this onto medium, and we're going to add in our walnut mixture. Hopefully the pasta that was stuck in the bottom, one, doesn't burn, and two, releases with all this oil in here. I don't know if anyone knows why that could have possibly happened. I felt it when it was cooking, and I was stirring to try and get it off, but it just like innately stuck. I have no idea why. It's probably a me problem, and it's probably user error, so feel free to let me know what I did wrong. It's always gotta be something that goes wrong. We're gonna add in 1 cup of our pasta cooking liquid to this mixture. Let that kind of stir around. Again, hopefully that releases the pasta from the bottom. Now we are adding our cheese and slow increments with some more pasta water. So this is manchego cheese, which I don't know if I've really cooked with much before. And then this is just some Parmesan. Both of them are just grated up. And we'll add a little bit more pasta water to help that kind of emulsify. And so she just says we're kind of like slowly adding all this so it gets melted and eventually is going to become a beautiful glossy sauce. The last item that we are adding is our parsley. So I just have 1 cup of finely packed or tightly packed parsley that I chopped. Well, I use my kitchen scissors, as you know, my favorite tool in the kitchen. And we're just tossing this in, and it's on low heat now. And oh my gosh, this looks amazing. I'm very excited. I love cacio e pepe. And so I feel like this is gonna be kind of a whole new take on it, because manchego, as far as I know, is not typically in it. Okay, let's try it. This is delicious. It really makes you say, that's so good. I mean, it's silky, it's creamy. It has a beautiful bite and crunch from the walnuts, and the parsley makes it so bright and flavorful. I would totally make this again. I don't know if I would try it with maybe a different pasta or a different tubular pasta, or I would figure out why perhaps mine stuck. But otherwise, I feel like this is just a really great, awesome recipe that's good for like entertaining or good when you want something quick, but doesn't feel like you made it in a really short amount of time, because I mean, all we were really doing was just browning the walnuts, seasoning them appropriately, and then you're adding all your cheese in. It's basically like a mac and cheese, but maybe better because it doesn't feel so heavy and stringy like typical mac and cheese. Instead, it's just glossy and creamy, and I am gonna go finish my bowl. Herbed rice with shrimp and kimchi tomato sauce. I mean, that just sounded so interesting to me. I love kimchi, which you might know. I feel like I've talked about it a few times on this channel, and I usually always have it in the fridge. Of course, I was out when I was going shopping for this, so I did find this container of it that I think is the exact portion we need, and it's from a local spot in Flushing, Queens, which, if you didn't know, Flushing is actually one of the most diverse places in the world, so comment below if you have any spots in Flushing you want me to check out, because I would love to do a food tour there or something. But yeah, I got some kimchi, and we're gonna make some shrimp and some rice. And this is gonna be a tasty one. I mean, nowadays I feel like they've been pretty tasty. The first recipe was a win. I have high aspirations for this one. The first step is to cook some rice. However, last year I got myself a handy dandy rice cooker, so I will be using that. I just put 1 cup of rice per the measurement for the cup that comes with my rice cooker, and then I took that rice, rinsed it, and now I have my rice all ready to go over into my rice cooker. If you're curious, I can add the rice cooker that I got to my Amazon storefront. I absolutely love it. It has one function, cook. So now we're gonna take 6 tablespoons of butter, and almost a stick, less than a stick, and we're gonna start melting that in our pan. She does say that we need to chop our kimchi, but comment below if you know what I'm about to pull out. I'll get my kitchen scissors. So when it's time to put the kimchi in, I'm just gonna go ahead and snap that all up. Especially with kimchi or like anything that stains, I find nicer or find it easier to use scissors in the exact surface that I'm going to be like needing it chopped. Specifically because I just don't have the space to ensure I don't stain my entire countertop red. And then I'm stuck scrubbing for an hour. So this is more about me and my personal preference, but I mean, they come in handy. It's so much easier. If you have wonderful amounts of space in counter space for chopping, then all you really need to do is just dump your kimchi onto a cutting board and give it a nice quick chop. It might take less time than my scissor method, but just love me a good kitchen scissor. Okay, so our butter is melted and foamy. So now we're gonna add in our kimchi and the juices from the kimchi as well. I think it's gonna make this such a flavorful dish. Also, look how they package it. I don't know if you've ever seen videos of people making kimchi. I feel like a lot of times it is stored with like lined with a plastic bag because it stains and because it is like a quite messy process. Okay, I'm just gonna dump it in and then, oh, got my scissors. Also, not for nothing, this is fun. I do enjoy just going around and like snipping things, which if you have, you know, a kid in the kitchen or someone who wants to help out, I feel like this could be a good task for them. You do have to kind of make sure you don't scrape the bottom of your pan by accident. Now we're adding a container of tomatoes. She said any color. Tomatoes aren't particularly in season right now, so I just went with whatever I could find, but these should do. Oh no, is this one bad? Ugh, except that one. Oh, gross. I did rinse them, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. So now we're just gonna let these kind of simmer off. She does have a step that, we'll see how well I do. She said once they've kind of cooked and started to soften, we're gonna push them down with the back of our spoon again to kind of smash them. Which makes me think that for the garlic, that is what we were supposed to do, and I just didn't understand or missed the instruction. Oh, I also wanted to say, from the last recipe, that was my first time like consciously having manchego cheese. I think that I probably have had it in a sandwich or something in the past, but I feel like I've never cooked with it or like bought it at home, and it was really good. Like it brought a nice depth of flavor to the dish that I didn't expect, and I wasn't really sure because it is more prevalent in her version of this cacio e pepe than like a typical cacio e pepe because it's not in it as far as I know. It might even just be Parmesan in a typical cacio e pepe, which I mean, cacio e pepe just means cheese and pepper, so like you can use whatever you want. It's not incorrect in any capacity, but a choice of manchego I thought was really nice. I would definitely use that more. Like if I wanted to make like an elevated mac and cheese, I feel like I would try using manchego in there and see what it does. If you've used manchego before, let me know how. I'm curious to try it out in other ways. Or if you have a favorite cheese, I'm very curious to also know what your favorite cheese is. I constantly change my favorite cheese, so right now I'm gonna say manchego. Okay, I think it's time for me to try pushing down. Oh yeah, the tomatoes are working. Okay, thank God. Not as bad because they've cooked for a while, so I can kind of smash them down. So I have a little competition. My rice cooker is currently at the boiling phase. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Everything's sizzling. We've got a full kitchen. We're going places. Oh, it also occurred to me, you might not know what kimchi is. I will put a formal definition on the screen. I've talked about it before, but if this is the first time you're ever hearing about kimchi, highly recommend it. I would go to your local Asian grocery store if you wanted to find it. They'll probably sell it at most grocery stores nowadays, near wherever like the sauerkraut is, because it is a fermented cabbage. Sometimes it could be a radish or have like green onions or other things in it as well. But typically it is with Napa cabbage. It's absolutely delicious. It has like similar benefits to like a yogurt because it's got a lot of probiotics from the you know what? I will put that on the screen and let someone else tell you what the health benefits are. But to my understanding, you know, it's good for your gut, one of those kind of foods, but it's got a wonderful tang and flavor to it. I'm a big fan. I like it in my eggs. I like it in a sandwich. Very good. So this calls for a pound of shrimp. Okay, so our shrimp have changed color, which also, if you are new to cooking animal protein in the kitchen, or it's something that you're just concerned about, I know a lot of people are always worried that they're gonna accidentally give themselves food poisoning, which I can understand because you know not used to cooking something and you're trying to make sure it's cooked all the way through, I think shrimp is like the perfect thing to practice with because it literally changes color when it's done. Like this obviously was not that color when it started. So now that I visually can see it's done cooking, and she also says that in her instructions just to cook it until it's opaque, we're gonna take it off the heat. Our rice is also done cooking, and we're going to add half a cup of basil to the rice to make an herb rice. And it says to ribbon them, so you know we're gonna use our kitchen scissors. Now, one way to do that, which I think I'm gonna do, is we're actually gonna stack them like this. So you're just gonna kind of get your clump of basil. You can do it prettier than this, but you'll get your clump of basil and kind of like roll it up or like make it like a blob. So when we go to snip it, it will make more ribbons. You can, again, do this on a cutting board, same thing, but we're gonna do it with our kitchen scissors. So I'm just doing it straight into my rice cooker. You can move your rice out once it's fluffed if you'd like from your pot, but this makes for less cleanup for me. Okay, let's try it. So I'm excited. I think this is the first time I've made shrimp on this channel, I think. So it's also the first time I made shrimp in a long time, so we'll find out how it comes out. This is delicious. This is really something I could see myself making on repeat. Not only is it generally ingredients I have on hand with kimchi, tomatoes, basil, like those are things like I tend to gravitate towards at the grocery store. So if I have, you know, a surplus of that, all I have to do is pick up some shrimp and I can toss it in. But honestly, you could totally make this with a different protein. You could even make it with like tofu. This would be really, really good with tofu. Also, herbed rice. So underrated. All we did was just put some basil in some fresh rice and it's delicious. I think what shocks me about this recipe is that everything worked. There's all this butter in here, which I was so skeptical about because I didn't really understand like butter and kimchi, why they would necessarily go together. I don't know if that's kind of a silly thought, but I was just like, I didn't expect there to be 6 tablespoons of butter in here. And basil. Basil is not something I associate with a dish that would have kimchi and tomatoes and I don't know. I'm surprised. And I thought it was an interesting recipe and I've confirmed that it is. This cookbook is great. I'm excited to cook more in it. And if you're curious about it, I will have it in my Amazon shop, which is linked down below. And I am so thankful that you've been here. It's been an absolute blast today. So if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. And I will be sure to catch you next time. Bye!